Okay, so I need to start with a question. If you asked most Australians a few years ago to name a national hero, a real, living Australian hero, there's a good chance they'd say Ben Roberts-Smith, Victoria Cross recipient, the most decorated living soldier in Australian history, a man who charged enemy machine gun positions alone in Afghanistan and lived to tell about it. This week, that same man was arrested at Sydney Airport. He's been charged with 5 counts of war crime murder, and right now, he's sitting in a jail cell. This is one of the most significant and shocking stories in recent Australian history, and today, we're going to break down everything: what happened, who this man is, what he's accused of, and what this moment means for Australia. To understand this story, you need to go back to Australia's involvement in the Afghanistan War. For over 2 decades, Australian soldiers, including members of the Elite Special Air Service Regiment, or SAS, were deployed to Afghanistan as part of the US and NATO-led operations against the Taliban. Ben Roberts-Smith was one of those soldiers. He did 6 tours of Afghanistan between 2006 and 2012. During that time, he was awarded the Medal for Gallantry and, in 2011, the Victoria Cross, the highest military honor Australia can give. He received it for single-handedly destroying 2 Taliban machine gun positions during an operation in 2010. He was called by any measure an extraordinary soldier. But while Roberts-Smith was being celebrated as a hero, disturbing stories were beginning to emerge about the conduct of Australian Special Forces in Afghanistan. In 2016, the Australian military began a formal investigation. 4 years later, in 2020, the so-called Brereton Report was released. What it found was shocking. The report identified credible evidence that members of Australia's Special Air Service Regiment had unlawfully killed 39 Afghan prisoners, farmers, and civilians. It was one of the darkest chapters in Australian military history. Now, Roberts-Smith's name was not included in the Brereton Report. It was kept confidential to protect the integrity of ongoing investigations. But in 2018, 3 journalists from Fairfax Media had already published detailed allegations linking him to war crimes. Roberts-Smith sued them for defamation. What followed was described as the trial of the century. In Australian legal history, it was the most expensive defamation trial Australia had ever seen. And in 2023, a federal court judge ruled against Roberts-Smith, finding that the newspapers had substantially proven 4 of the 6 murder allegations they had published. Roberts-Smith appealed and appealed again. His final appeal to the High Court was dismissed in September 2025. So when the Australian Federal Police arrested him at Sydney Airport on Tuesday morning, arriving on a flight from Brisbane, it was, in many ways, the culmination of years of legal proceedings, investigations, and public scrutiny. So what exactly is he charged with? Roberts-Smith faces 5 counts related to the deaths of Afghan nationals between 2009 and 2012. 2 counts are for direct war crime murder. 3 counts are for aiding or abetting war crime murder, meaning either ordering a subordinate to kill, or being present while it happened. All 5 charges carry the same maximum sentence: life imprisonment. Under Australian law, war crime murder is defined as the intentional killing of a person who is not taking an active part in hostilities. That means civilians, prisoners of war, wounded soldiers, people who are, in effect, defenseless. Police allege the victims were unarmed Afghans under Australian Defence Force control at the time of their deaths. AFP Commissioner Chrissy Barrett said at a press conference that it will be alleged the victims were not taking part in hostilities when they were killed. Roberts-Smith appeared in a Sydney court on Wednesday. He did not apply for bail. He did not enter a plea. The case has been adjourned until June 4th. Here's where this story gets genuinely complicated and important. Roberts-Smith has maintained his innocence throughout. His lawyers did not enter pleas at Wednesday's hearing, and he is entitled to the presumption of innocence. That is a fundamental principle of Australian law, and it absolutely applies here. At the same time, the weight of evidence that has accumulated over years of civil proceedings, defamation trials, and now criminal investigations is significant. Multiple former SAS colleagues testified against him during the defamation trial. Some of them reportedly broke down on the stand. These were soldiers, people who served alongside him, who understood the extreme pressures of combat, and they chose to come forward anyway. AFP Commissioner Barrack was careful to emphasize that the alleged conduct was confined to a very small section of the ADF. The overwhelming majority of Australian soldiers serve with honour, she said, and that's an important point. This is not a story about the Australian military as a whole, but it is a story about what happens when serious allegations against high-profile individuals take years, sometimes decades, to reach the point of criminal accountability. Roberts-Smith is only the second Australian Afghanistan veteran to be charged with war crimes. The first, Oliver Schultz, has pleaded not guilty to a separate charge. It's also worth noting one more name in this story: David McBride. McBride was an Australian Army lawyer who blew the whistle on alleged war crimes by Australian soldiers in Afghanistan. He leaked classified documents to journalists, documents that contributed to the very reporting that Roberts-Smith tried to suppress through his defamation action. McBride was prosecuted by the Australian government. He is currently in prison. So you have a situation where the man who exposed alleged war crimes is behind bars, and the man accused of committing them has only now been charged. Australian Senator David Shoebridge summed it up in a two-word post on social media after Roberts-Smith's arrest. Release David McBride. It's a tension that raises serious questions about how Australia handles military accountability, whistleblowers, and the prosecution of serious crimes. Here's what this story really represents. For many Australians, Ben Roberts-Smith was a symbol of something: courage, sacrifice, national pride. The Victoria Cross isn't just a medal, it's a statement about who we are as a country, about the values we say we stand for. When someone who held that symbol is now facing trial for the murder of unarmed civilians, it doesn't just raise legal questions, it raises much bigger ones about how we build heroes, about what we choose to see and what we choose to ignore, about the gap between the stories we tell about war and what war actually looks like on the ground. None of that is simple, and it shouldn't be. Whatever the outcome of this trial, Australia is now in territory it has never been in before, prosecuting one of its most decorated soldiers for crimes committed on a battlefield, in a war most Australians have largely moved on from. Ben Roberts-Smith is innocent until proven guilty. That principle matters, and it applies to everyone, regardless of the charges or the public narrative around them. But the charges themselves are now real. The trial will happen, and Australia will have to reckon with whatever it reveals. This is one of the most significant legal and moral stories this country has faced in a long time. I'll be covering it as it develops. What do you think about this? Does this change how you see Australia's military legacy? Drop it in the comments. I genuinely want to hear different perspectives on this one. Like and subscribe for more Australian news broken down simply. See you in the next one.